Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Aviation Avenue YouTube channel. My name is Braden Piscopo, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing 10 tips for first-time airshow attendees to help make your airshow experience better and to learn how the aviation community appreciates anybody who may be a first-time airshow attendee or have been attending airshows for their whole life. So, let's get into it, everybody. Tip number 1. Check the airshow's website and social media pages. This will help give you information to who is performing, what the static display list is, and the best ticket options, and the frequently asked questions page on their website as well as their social media. This can also help as well with updates to who will be performing, what performers may be added, what performers may drop out or get uninvited in most rare cases, and the types of activities and as well as food that will be on display at the airshow. So always check the airshow social media page and follow them to make sure you get notified about posts and sign up for any newsletters that may be included in the website. That's what I do when I attend any air show. I sign up for their newsletters and I check their social media to see what is going on, and that is what I encourage you all to do. So check the air show's website and social media pages for any updates. This next tip is look out for updates. Now, this is kind of drawing back to the original tip that we just previously discussed. Check the airshow's website and social media pages. But however, this could be leading to last minute for any other performer changes, upgraded seating emissions that can sell out or go back on sale, as well as any static displays that may be leaving or arriving during the show. So always look out for updates, even when you're confident that you think that the show is gonna go on the way it is, because that's not always the case with a ton of air shows. A ton of air shows like to swing last minute updates on you out of nowhere. So always be prepared and look for updates as to last minute performer additions, last minute static display additions, last minute food vendors, and any more frequently asked questions on the airshow's page. So typically an airshow is a rain or shine event. We'll cover more of that later in the video. So that's my second tip to you guys, is look out for updates. This next tip is buy a ticket for upgraded seating. Now guys, I cannot stress this enough. If you're going to a military air show or even a civilian air show, do not buy tickets for general admission unless that's the only thing you can afford. Then, with the exception of what you can afford, then I would go ahead and buy tickets for general admission if it's a civilian show. For military air shows, do not go for general admission because it's free, because there's not going to be a lot of room and there's going to be a ton of people crowding, in my opinion. That's what I've experienced, and I've seen people actually do that, and there's a lot of uncooperative people there in that state. And so another thing is be polite to the people that you're with. So yeah, buy a ticket for upgraded seating to avoid that. That can mean box seats. I would count box seats as one of them. Box seats are really good because there's a little bit of shade depending on where you're at. And then there's different types of chalets, which are really nice, and they offer you free food and drinks and a couple other souvenirs depending on the air show. So that's my third tip to you guys, is buy a ticket for upgraded seating. Do not go for general admission unless you're at a civilian air show and if it's the only thing in your budget. So buy a ticket for upgraded seating so that you can enjoy the action a little bit peacefully, and you can have some free food and some free drinks to go along with that. So buy a ticket for upgraded seating. That's my tip number 3. This next tip number 4, is leave early. Now this is important. This is extremely important in a lot of different ways and for a number of reasons. Number 1 is you can beat the traffic. You can get there early without having hesitation to look for your seat or look up at the performers while they're performing if you arrive so you don't avoid arriving mid-show. Number 3 is you have more time to look at the static displays, and that you can see all the things that you want to see. You can maybe get some breakfast, or go to your seat early if you buy a ticket for upgraded seating, like I mentioned in tip number 3, because you can get to your seat early, and in the chalets sometimes, like at Miramar or other air shows, for example, they serve like a continental breakfast. So it's beneficial for a lot of reasons, because you can get like breakfast, you can look around, you can get to your seat early, relax. You can also talk to some people if you see anybody. Or if you're on the media list, you can get a media list as well, on the media list as well, so you can get there early, even close to 2 hours, maybe 3, before the gates even open, to get like sunrise passes and to avoid the cars kind of crowding everything. So that's one reason, is leave early so you can get some really nice just some really nice photos, maybe even some videos, and some talking time with the people that have aircraft on static display, and other types of exciting activities as well. So I would personally recommend 45 minutes to an hour early, bare minimum, just because of the traffic and things like that can make it hectic and stressful. So it'll be less stressful if you leave early, so you don't have to be distracted by the aircraft that are performing if you arrive mid-show. So tip number 4 to you guys is leave early, and I cannot stress that enough. Leave early, because some of the good stuff will be in the morning, depending on in the air show. So leave early if that's the case. This next tip number 5, is be prepared for the weather. Now this applies to hot weather, cold weather, rainy weather, etc., etc. So this is probably the most important thing when you're attending air shows, or any outdoor event for that matter, is be prepared for the weather. Weather that could be hazardous, that could be dangerous, that could be safe, that could be predicted as unsafe. You always want to be prepared for that. And if it's hot weather, bring sunscreen, hat, glasses, all that stuff, and water too. Especially water is important for attending the air shows, or really any outdoor event, is to stay hydrated. Always stay hydrated by bringing water and sunscreen, hat, glasses, and all that stuff for the sun. So and even for rainy days too. Rainy days, bring some sunblock in case if the sun pokes through the clouds, because even if it's a rainy day or cloudy day, the sun can still get you. So always bring sunscreen, and then in the rain in general, just bring a coat, maybe a sweatshirt, a rain jacket, and for that. And then if the show will go on typically as a rain or shine thing, a majority of these shows are rain or shine events. So like if it starts to rain lightly into heavy rain, it can go on, but if the rain does pose a serious threat, like if there's thunder and lightning, then yes, obviously the show will get canceled. So that brings me to the point of be prepared for the weather. Be prepared for any type of dangerous weather, whether it's thunder and lightning, whether it's rain, whether it's hail. Always want to be prepared. And even for hot weather too, temperatures that will exceed over 100 degrees, and the flight line temperature will be exceeding over 102, and you really want to be prepared for that type of stuff, and because heat strokes are very, very dangerous, and all that thing. So be prepared for the weather. Bring hat, glasses, sunscreen, and water, and or buy water if you choose not to bring water, but I would still bring water just in case. So that's my tip number 5. On to the next one. This next tip number 6, is show your support. Now this kind of goes back to the first tip we were talking about. Check the Airshow's website / social media. Meaning follow the Airshow on Instagram, like their photos, comment on that, repost them, share them with your friends, family, or anybody who maybe interested in aviation, and share it with their fellow aviators, like other photographer friends that have a passion just as much as you do, and get them excited too, and tag them in your photos too. And another example of this is wearing merch that the airshow provides, and repping a t-shirt, repping the colors of the airshow, repping, doesn't have to be exactly a shirt, just repping the colors of it. Like, for example, red, white, and blue for the US is always acceptable, and depending on what other the colors are for, either yellow or green, you should always show your support for the airshow by wearing some kind of merchandise, and or something related to aviation that supports the show. And always and then we'll talk about more support stuff next later in the video. So that's my tip number 6, is show your support. On to the next tip. This next tip number 7, is stick around after the show concludes. Now, this means sticking around after the flying concludes to look at static displays, talk with other pilots, talk with recruiters from all the different branches that will be there, and talk to the fellow aviation fans who are looking around and walking around, and talking to your fellow photographer friends. And the reason I say stick around after the show ends is because there will be a lot of cars trying to get out when you try to leave right after the show, and it gets really, really hectic too, and it gets a little bit stressful and overwhelming to deal with the amount of those cars, and it can take a lot of times up to an hour and a half to get off the base, because there's so much cars trying to get out. And it doesn't help if there's more than it. Actually, let me rephrase that. It doesn't help when you try to leave after, because it serves no purpose to wait in that line. So that's kind of what I want to say, is stick around after the show concludes to avoid the traffic. And that's kind of the same thing with the leave early that we talked about, is leave early and stick around later. So always stick around after the show ends to avoid the traffic. And yep, that's our tip number 7. We're going to go on to the next tip right now. This next tip number 9, is tell the volunteers and people who run the show thank you. Now, this can be both in person as well as on social media after your when you're posting your photos and videos on social media. So be sure to tell the volunteers and people who run the show thank you. This is my most important tip that I always do whenever I attend any air show, is to tell the people who coordinate and run the show thank you, because they worked incredibly hard to put on a great air show for the entire community, for people near and far, and most importantly, to inspire our next generation of aviators like myself over here. So always tell the people and producers / volunteers, anybody who's involved with the show, thank you, because running an air show is not easy. It is super difficult, and I know that, and I know that for a fact too, because it's really hard to run an air show. You got all these things to think about. You got budgeting, you got all that fun stuff, all that not fun stuff. So, and it's not easy to run an air show. It is super difficult. So that's kind of what I want to say, is thank you. Tell the volunteers thank you for their hard work in running this and running any air show. So that's my number 9 tip, is tell the volunteers and people who run the show thank you, because it will put a huge smile on their face and make them feel proud of what they do. And it really does, and it helps other people too, and it teaches other people to do the same thing. So when you're at an air show, or if it's your first time, and regardless if it's your first time or your 1,000th time, is tell the volunteers and people who run the show thank you. That is the most important thing ever. And the 10th and final tip I will be giving is attend the air show again next year and the upcoming years. So what I mean by that is, if you really enjoyed the air show and you want to support them even more, is attend the air show the next year and upcoming years, to show your support and your gratitude to the people who run the show. And also, another tip I'm gonna say is, if you have like a YouTube channel, a TikTok page, a social media page of some sort, and you're recording videos and you want to share them with people, get a media pass for the air show too. It is super, super nice to have one because you're avoiding the people sitting in the upgraded seating who are like maybe that the or let me rephrase that, excuse me. The hectic of people putting their hands up, getting in the way of your photographs, and the crowding and rushing of people everywhere. So media passes are really nice just because of the fact that like they can get you special access to a lot of different things, and you can like meet tons of new people, tons of photographers and other aviation enthusiasts and photographers who have just as much of an interest as you do. So that's kind of my tip. Attend the air show again next year as well as the upcoming years, and get a media pass too. So that's my tip from you guys to you. And I want to say I've gotten media passes at a ton of different air shows, and they're really, really nice to do because they're not too chaotic with people, and you get to meet new people. You get to meet some of the performers that may be walking by. So I would highly recommend you get a media credential after you've attended the show a few times, and if you're starting to look out and you're starting to pursue something that you're loving. So that's been my top 10 airshow tips for new airshow attendees. We hope you guys enjoyed that, and we hope you guys enjoyed the video. We hope you guys like that, and we hope you guys take these. We hope you guys attend air shows and do use the tips wisely. So everybody, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing and turning on your notifications so you never miss another video and to see more aviation related content like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.